Hello everyone, I'm Shailendra and you're watching this simulcast live on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter and YouTube. For you to see this episode and other sessions that I run on emerging technologies, I would request you to follow me so that you can be alerted when a live session is on. Now, meet the people at SAP ANZ. In the second episode of Meet the People at SAP ANZ, I thought of talking to someone who works on a subject very close to my heart, analytics. So I thought of this very special guest who heads platforms and analytics in ANZ, Patrick Elliott. Patrick is a goal-oriented and performance-driven leader with a very strong, balanced approach, and this is his second stint at SAP. So without any further ado, let me introduce you to Patrick Elliott, Head of Platforms and Analytics for SAP ANZ. Hi, Patrick.
Hey, Shailendra, how are you?
Very good. How are you?
Yeah, great, thank you.
Welcome to Meet the People at SAP ANZ live stream.
Thank you. Pretty excited to be here, and thank you for thinking of me.
Thank you. So let's start with your career journey. So can you briefly explain your career journey to date?
Yeah, okay. So let's go back to probably 40 years ago of why I even chose information technology. I was actually 13 years old. I was really good at math. And one of my dad's friends always used to test me on math. And he came up, he'd gone to California, and he came and he showed me a newspaper clipping, showing me that I could get a programmer analyst job when I was finished my studies for $35,000 a year. And I thought that was really going to be a great ticket for life. So at 13 years old, I chose the career path of becoming a career programmer analyst. And a few years later, I did. So I started my career as a programmer analyst, specialized in relational databases and object-oriented programming, and went there into consulting, and then pre-sales, sales management, and then sales leadership across quite a few companies. If you look at my profile, but predominantly, almost always in the data space, I'd say. So the analytics, performance management, and really leveraging value from data for organizations, helping organizations do that.
So you spent a lot of time playing with data in the initial days?
I spent a lot of time making data representative and collecting data, helping organizations actually capture and collect the data through applications, and then leveraging it using database technologies and reporting tools 40 years ago.
You've written a lot of reports.
A lot of reports.
Okay, so that is very, very good. Interesting. Second stint at SAP, what brought you back?
It was funny because I never thought I'd typically kind of go the one-way journey in life. But I was at SAP about 12 years ago. Since I've gone off and joined a couple of smaller organizations, startups, and another large organization. But what I've realized is, and maybe it's an aging process, as you become that beyond middle age, you start thinking about what have I really done and achieved in my career. And a lot of it was turning out to be Groundhog Day, running teams and not really making a difference. So this point in my life, it was really about where can I be that I can actually make a difference.
Yep.
And it's not just about the job and the person, it's about the organization. And SAP really does, the whole line is helps organizations run better. But SAP is a big fundamental piece of a lot of organizations and the way they operate. And when I was speaking to Irfan Khan, who's the president of the business unit I'm in, he's explaining the roadmap and the journey and the whole concept of tying in the operational excellence that SAP already has helped customers do for 40 years, and bringing in all of the experiential data, and then combining all that into a unified platform that does both the storage of operational data, takes all of the analytics, the planning, the predictive, brings in all the sources both within SAP and outside of SAP, and adding in the experiential. It just is that holy grail, and I think it's a thing that most organizations, and I've been looking for my entire career, who can make that fundamental difference. And SAP has been doing that, and the roadmap and where we're going now is a really exciting place to be. Even though the company's been around for over 4 decades, I think we got some of the best years ahead of us.
Yep, perfect. Any interesting fact about you that your colleagues don't know? people who know you don't know. So can we delve into that?
Well, probably the one is like I said, I mentioned kind of that middle-age thing, middle-age crisis. So about 5 months ago, I decided to get my motorcycles license.
Mhm.
And my 18-year-old son came home, and I got my license and got a motorbike, and he was looking at it in the garage. And he said something pretty revealing. And he goes, "Dad, can I just say, I'm really loving this middle life crisis."
Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, coming back to your career. So, what does your role entail as head of platforms and analytics and technology for SAP ANZ?
Yeah. So at SAP, I talked about earlier that the two things that I think are really great about SAP is the fact that we have been helping organizations with best-in-class process management across the organization for 4 decades. We also have another very strong area of focus around the industry. So if you're in public sector and you're using SAP, you're getting a lot of public sector experts. If you're doing mining, energy, natural resources, we have a lot of subject matter expertise around that. So the combination of those two are powerful. My role is I lead a team of what we call platform and technology specialists. And that's kind of the surrounding technology that helps organizations, the databases, the reporting and planning tools, the integration tools that help us connect everything within SAP and everything outside of SAP, the artificial intelligence, the machine learning. So everything that kind of helps connect and extend is kind of what our team offers. I like to think of it as the glue and the glitz. So the glue that gets everything connected, and the glitz is the pretty reporting and dashboards that sits on top and makes it more usable and user-friendly. Combining that, again, with both SAP and outside of SAP data.
Okay, good stuff. Your journey inside SAP. So you mentioned the second stint. Take us back to the first stint as well, and how it all came together.
So 12 years ago, I was at SAP. I pretty much had the similar role, except the product portfolio was a lot smaller because that was just prior to the business object acquisition and prior to the Sybase acquisition, which are obviously components in our platform technology sector. It was also prior to 2010 when SAP launched HANA, that highly optimized in-memory database, which is a game changer for the entire organization and our customers. So having a much broader portfolio now, it's actually a challenge because I got a team of specialists across quite a few very specialized solutions, which is exciting and challenge. So at 53, every day I wake up and realize I feel like I know less than I did yesterday.
But isn't it interesting because you've done it yourself? It is a good discussion to have with your technology people, with the people who taking it to market, and even when you talk to the clients, you're talking to people with the language that they know best because you've done it there.
Exactly, and I've had the bruises as well as they do, and probably shouldn't say that working at a software company, but we know, and I know from a fact that when we develop software, it always gets pushed and used by our customers or by our end users more than we ever really initially anticipated, which keeps the product evolving and fresh. So it's that kind of reality check, and just being a truth sayer internally as well, and hearing what our customers are saying, which helps drive innovation and helps drive improvement for the overall solution. So I feel comfortable and confident having the conversation internally and externally. Interesting.
Okay. What is the best thing about working at SAP? So you mentioned about your career. SAP has been given that credit of being one of the best companies to work for. It ranked number 7 last year. How do you, because you've looked at other companies as well. So what is the difference that you see when you're working at SAP? What makes it different from other organizations that you work with?
Yeah, so I'll start by saying SAP is a global company. So to say it's like any particular culture wouldn't be accurate. But SAP obviously is headquartered in Germany, and there's a very strong German culture about SAP. And what I love about that is I feel that there's a much more of an engineered long-term philosophy behind the company. So it's not a lot of knee-jerk quick reactions. There's agility, but there's not knee-jerk quick reactions. Even our products tend to be engineered for the higher end of town. They're very well engineered. They're designed to scale and to deal with complex business problems. So I love the fact that I'm working for and as part of a strategic organization that is thinking longer term. We recently announced that we're extending support for one of our products from 2025 to 2027. But at the same time, I don't know if people picked up on it, we announced that support for S/4HANA, which is our core cloud ERP system, is going to go to 2040. And so that's how the company thinks. The company thinks long term because they know that our customers make a big investment when they come with SAP, and they need to know what's the roadmap and are you a long-term business partner and associate who's still going to be around. So I love that strategic approach. And the second side is SAP is very much about the people. They're people that I worked with when I was here 12 years ago, and a lot of them are still here.
Absolutely.
And you get that kind of like when I see them, it's not a handshake. A lot of them, it's a hug. So there's that sense of belonging, which is one of the primal needs of humanity. Sense of belonging, sense of family, and that ongoing relevant, or you just feel like you can relate to the company and you're part of it. So I think that's a very happy place to be.
No, it's similar to me because I've been now here for 3 years, and I meet people who've been here for 25 years, 30 years, right? And I feel, well, I was born yesterday. It's like, but that's a great place, great feeling to have when you're working for an organization as big as SAP. So, it's a great feeling, and I concur that. Okay, let's talk about experience economy, and that has been talked about quite a lot in the past few days. You wrote a blog where you mentioned about experience economy. Can you explain one of the use case that, and something around that? What is it? Let's clear the air for the audience. What is experience economy?
Yeah. Okay. So, and this would be my opinion of what is experience economy. Experience economy is when where organizations are actually listening to their customers and to their employees and to their ecosystem and getting feedback, and then taking that feedback and hopefully using that to improve the overall experience. So whether it's for your customers or for your customers or your suppliers. And when I wrote that article, that was based on what I thought. This is really exciting. This is what's coming down the pipe. The most amazing thing happened to me last week is we had a customer meeting with one of our largest customers, and we were talking about their overall platform to do the analytics and planning and predictive across their entire organization, so that if they make a small change here, they can see the impact of that. During that conversation, and they're well on the way in that journey. They're global pioneers, and during that conversation, they talked about how the fact they'd also acquired our Qualtrics product, which is our portion of the experiential management, and the intent is to actually take the survey data that they collect from that and combine it with other sources of information to be able to then take those outside influences and opinions and perceptions and add even further improvement into their overall portfolio of data elements that they have. So rather than just saying, what are the data that we already know in our system and how do we use that to make decisions, let's also listen to the market and let's listen to our employees and take that feedback on board. And the relevancy about that is actually more acute in the sense that you might have launched a new product, but you need to get the feedback during that time of that product. So a survey done there is very different to a survey done later in time. And the fact that this organization was already thinking about that and already thinking of ways to include that was really exciting for me, because when I talked earlier about the Holy Grail, getting all of the information, whether it's weather patterns, whether it's health warnings and issues that are occurring around the world right now, all of those, as we see, all of those outside elements and activities have a massive effect, or could have a massive effect on the operations of a business or the operations of an organization or even a government entity that has to deliver services, for example. So the combination of that, bringing that experiential data into the overall operational operations of the business, I think is going to make a fundamental shift to the way people are reacting and being proactive about taking care of their customers and taking care of their employees.
Okay, so in essence, you're saying that it is bringing together of the experience data, the operational data, and the machine data into one place to make some essence out of it, and that is where the world is going towards, right?
Absolutely. I think for too long, there have been too many silos. So these things are occurring, but they're always still occurring in silos.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And now it's about gluing everything together, as I was saying earlier, gluing it all together and then putting something glitzy on top that allows you to look at it and actually leverage it.
Yep. And do some predictions out of it using machine learning and whatnot. So that brings in the various emerging technologies into play as well, like machine learning, the NLP of it, and all that stuff. You know, is that what that's making it much more powerful for the clients?
Absolutely, because humans are very smart, but they're not as scalable in the same immediacy of time as a machine could be, or as an intelligent computer could be. So taking that and combining that also removes some of the emotion, especially, for example, in the sales organization. You look at a lot of salespeople, and when they make a forecast or a call, a lot of it has a gut factor into it, right? So machine learning kind of helps to mitigate the gut factor. And I think the combination of that, when it's in a focused required outcome, I think that's where it's going to be delivering the best results. You don't want to go out and do predictive on everything, because I think you should really know what you're looking for when you're applying that technology. Not the actual answer, but what it is, the kind of outcome you want to be addressing. Finding.
Perfect. When you're talking to your customers, what are they talking to you about experience economy? And is there any specific use case that you think you would like to share?
Well, there's one from a customer, and then there's one from my own personal experience. So the one from the customer is the one I just shared about the conversation last week, where these guys are already well ahead of a lot of people, and just taking that data and bringing it into the overall portfolio of information they have. I think my personal experience economy is, we all like to feel valued as a customer. And obviously for work, I travel quite a bit. And it used to really bother me that when I try to always stay at an IHG hotel. But it used to bother me after every stay that I was always getting these surveys. And it was, another survey. And then after a while, I realized I shouldn't treat that survey as a compliance. I should treat that survey as an opportunity to have my voice heard. And I know that it's been heard, because in general, I get a good experience. On the one occasion where I was disappointed about something, I had an email and a phone call within 24 hours. And for me, it's that experience. My experience improved with that provider, because they were using an experiential system. They were getting customer feedback, and they were actioning it and doing something about it. And I think that's the key part. You don't just want to do the experience side and collect the data and stick it in a bucket or a data warehouse and never really do anything about it. I think it's tying that into the human side, so getting your employees or HR department to address either your customer or your employee issues. So I think that being felt like I had a voice, I think that's what made me feel really good.
Well, I'll add one to that, because this reminds me of an experience I had in India. I went to Bangalore for an event, and I went to this hotel, I won't name them, and I found a bunch of hair lying in the bathroom. I just checked in, and I just took a picture and put it on Twitter. 15 minutes later, I got a call in the room, because someone was monitoring it, and they were like looking that one of the residents or the person is not happy, and so they just called me up and apologized and cleaned it and whatever. So all these things actually work. Some people tell me, who's going to look at it, what's going on, but I think organizations are now becoming more and more careful about what's happening with their customers as they're experiencing, as the experience goes on with them.
And if the whole world really was connected, you could have kept that hair and sold it to me.
Oh yeah. Okay. Before we get to the last one, is there any one case? You've talked about a couple of case studies, and I know, but I always ask for one case study that you think, it doesn't have to be SAP case study. It can be any case study that you think that wowed you, and you thought, yeah, that's something. If I was to use analytics, or if I was to use data, technology, platform, that is what I would like to do.
So I'll share this one. And I can't give out the customer, but this was a company that built a product. They had 121 different versions of this product that they could go to market with. And what they did is they did in-depth analysis, and this was for a business unit that was actually decreasing year on year. Their brand was actually losing market share, and they narrowed it down to just 8 versions of that product that they were going to take to market, rather than go with 25 or 30. And they were able to accelerate their time. Rather than be 3 months, they were able to do it within 3 weeks. That in itself, it actually helped them to focus their investments into just a smaller subset of products to go to market, but also by using more customer feedback. It was about flavors in this particular case. Using more customer feedback, they were actually able to narrow the amount of flavors they're going to go to market with. So they didn't actually dilute the market as they're going to. They focused on the ones that were going to be the most popular, and they actually turned around that business unit within about 6 months. So as those products came to market, the demand increased on them, and a lot of it actually changed the whole way they started doing their analysis and planning for new product introductions.
Yep. Okay. Sorry, I was looking at the questions while you were talking. I'm so sorry, I was not concentrating. But coming back to the audience questions, which is the most important part of this live show. We've got a few questions, and I'll go one by one on these. Maliha Ahmed, she's co-founder and managing director of Corpolinks, if I've got pronounced it right, Corpolinks. Maliha Ahmed, and she's asked 2 questions. The first question you've already answered, but I'll still mention. It is, hi Patrick, please walk us through your role at ANZ right now, which you've answered. So we'll not go through that question again. And the second question she's asked, does your role involve any intelligent automation work? If so, how?
Right. So part of the portfolio in the platform and technology space, there's 2 parts. There's the artificial intelligence point, but I think you might be, so it could be, is it applying artificial intelligence to a set of data and then extending on that? Or we also have another product that's intelligent robotic process automation that will actually look across the processes in an organization, and then it'll actually come up with a streamlined or optimized way to address that and improve the overall efficiency of that process stream. So
I think she's asking about intelligent RPA, that how you automating the entire process, and if you're involved in that kind of work as well.
So we do have team members of my team that actually do that, and we partner with we call it a solution extension to SAP, and we do that IRPA through that company. So we definitely are addressing those kind of requirements with organizations today. Okay. And I've actually been quite surprised by how fast. Obviously, we have to connect to organizations' processes and do it and connect, literally like electronically connect to it, and then do a mapping. Yep. So it requires a lot of trust and an NDA, but it's amazing how much insight you gain from that in a very short period of time.
Yep. Okay. There is another person, Padma Prasad S., business development consultant at education to technology to startups. That's what it says. He says, hi Patrick, does SAP offer any platform around classroom management?
I don't know. I don't know.
It's very safe to say I don't know. And it works perfectly fine.
Yeah, but we have a lot of people here, so we can definitely find out. So if leave your details with Shailendra, and we'll get an answer to you.
You can definitely go into because he's asked the question on LinkedIn. You can go in and ask yourself. Yep, that's fine.
Brilliant. All right. So I'll find out internally, and we'll get somebody to it. Yeah.
So Padma, it's up to Patrick to answer the question, and you will get it on LinkedIn later. Our friend Gareth has asked 2 questions, so we'll go in. But before that, I'll say there is a person called Sanjeev Sharma who's mentioned, great to hear you, Patrick. So, thumbs up.
Thanks, Ed.
Garrett, he's asked two questions. One is, what is the biggest change you've seen at SAP since your previous tenure in the organization?
Yeah, so it's like a different company. So to pinpoint one thing, I think fundamental difference is the world has changed. So 12 years ago, there were really 4 or 5 really big vendors. And in the last 10 to 12 years, I think it's not a secret. There have been a lot of disruptors and challengers in the market, which kind of has forced everybody to elevate their game. The combination of that, the shift to the cloud. So the biggest difference now is I've seen where we have a lot of, SAP has a lot of customers that have a lot of on-premise solution sets, but they're also embracing a lot of cloud technologies just for total cost of ownership of that environment, or the agility, or the scalability, flexibility. And so the fundamental difference now is, SAP is in the hybrid solution world of really, really strong, highly complex solutions that are on-prem, taking those learnings. Initially, I think some of them were shifts, but right now there's a lot about built for the cloud innovation happening at the same time. There have been quite a few strategic acquisitions since I left, such as SuccessFactors, Ariba, Qualtrics, Sybase, Business Objects, and so it's the overall portfolio is much broader and much more comprehensive, which is great for the customers because they're getting kind of a one-stop shop. I can just make SAP accountable for everything if I want that. But it's also meaning that there's a lot more moving parts and a lot more like of a matricial kind of approach where how do we make sure that we're leveraging the best of everything that's available to us to make that available to our customers. So it's like I said earlier, company's been around quite a while, but it's still in a very dynamic phase, and there's still a lot of exciting changes. Every day, like I said earlier, every day I wake up feeling a little bit dumber because there's so much that I don't know. And as I scratch a bit more into everything that's within the SAP portfolio and what our customers are doing, there's still a lot to learn and there's still a lot to achieve. So it's definitely not a boring place to be.
Perfect. And I think I would agree with you because when I joined SAP 3 years ago, I heard that because we were going to talk to people about innovation, we wanted to innovate ourselves first. So SAP tried to implement all the things they wanted to give to someone else before offering it to their customers. They did it to themselves, which is a big change, which is a big statement to make in the market, saying, well, if we are offering something to someone else, we want to make sure that it works. So we want to try it on ourselves, which is a great thing to do. Yeah,
we drink our own champagne.
Absolutely, and that says a lot about an organization. Definitely. Second question from Gareth. And this is an important one and a tricky one. It says, is it true that, Pat, you were responsible for employing Damian Bruno to come work for SAP once upon a time?
So 20 years ago, I actually moved to Australia from Canada with a company called Hyperion. And my boss at the time was Damian Bruno. In 2007, I joined SAP and I employed Damian Bruno as a specialist on the team down in Canberra. I since obviously left, and over the last 12 years, Damian's worked really hard and come up to be the CEO and MD of ANZ. So yes, it's true. So he tapped me on the shoulder a few months ago, and for me, it's very, 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 very important about who the people you work with and the trust that you have around those people and the respect. And I have the trust and respect for Damian, so I'm happy that he tapped me on the shoulder.
Perfect. Any other comment you want to make? Any message you want to share with the audience? This is your 2 minutes.
Yeah, I would just say in general to the audience, SAP is a much more modern, agile, and cool place than I'm talking. I've been here 6 months, and it was kind of do I really want to go back to a big organization? SAP is really cool. The innovation that's occurring, the vision, the ability to actually deliver on that is great. As far as a workplace goes, I think SAP is awesome. there's so much that's focused around people, around diversity, around inclusion, and more so than ever I've seen anywhere else. And it's not a tick in the box. It's genuine. People are genuine here about that, and it's really important. And I think it's a very healthy place and organization to be, both as an employee, but as a customer and a partner with. So I think if you have a chance to be engaged in any shape or form with SAP, I would go for it. It's a great place to be.
Let me just check one last time if there is any other question, and I think no more questions. Good stuff. Thank you very much. Thank you for taking the time. It was a pleasure talking to you, like always. And thank you very much. Thank you for joining us back at SAP.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for arranging this.
All the best.
You too. Cheers.
Thanks. So, guys, that was Pat Elliott, head of platforms and technology. I missed it. It was not platforms and analytics. It was platform and technology for SAP ANZ. But analytics is a core component of that. So that was Pat. It was great fun talking to him. I hope you all had a great time listening to him. If you've got any questions, please go to the comment section and type the question, and I will try and get an answer from Pat on that. Secondly, if you're watching it live, please go and say and put number 1 in the comment section. And if you're watching a replay, then put comment number 2 there, so that I know how many people are live and how many are watching replay. But thank you very much. So next week I'll be back at the same time with another episode of Meet the People at SAP ANZ. Look forward to seeing you next week, 3 p.m. on Tuesday. One important thing, please follow me if you're not yet, so that you can get alerts when I go live, so that you don't have to actually pre-plan about it. You'll just get a message on LinkedIn that I'm live, on Twitter that I'm live at the time. So please do that. Thank you very much, and see you next week. Bye now.